Live streaming is on.
Hey everyone, it's Estat Ladybug checking in with Yarn Movement. So, welcome to another Sip and Stitch. It's Sunday, so we're gonna be sipping. I have a mocktail today because I have a lot of work to do, so I have no time to play with y'all today. No, but I'm gonna say cheers for our sip. And the stitch is going to be granny squares because we all know that I love granny squares. And if you don't know, if I'm not doing granny squares, I'm doing something that has a little frazzle dazzle to it because I love frazzle dazzle too. So, a little bit about Yarn Movement. Yarn Movement is a global fashion and lifestyle brand created to inspire consumers. Yes, you guys who are watching, consumers to value craftsmanship in your consumption. Consumption meaning anything you're buying, I want you to be able to value what's going into what you're buying. And so, granny squares for me is what we're looking at because these beanies are being sold to support the nonprofit arm of Yarn Movement. If you are tuning in on Facebook, Instagram, or on YouTube, I want to encourage you all to go on YouTube so you can have the full video because, I get cut off on the other ones. But a little bit about the nonprofit arm of Yarn Movement. It's called Believe in What You Dream. Believe in What You Dream has been birthed or it's been a matriculation of thought that has come from when I was 12 years old and learned how to crochet from hanging out with my grandmothers and their friends. It was because of those moments of watching them stitch. So they were making, quilts, crocheting, cross stitching, sewing, and having chats. And those chats is really, really, really the thing that really pushed this whole mission for Yarn Movement, which is being able to cultivate a community of, creatives that we can come together and share the power of creativity and therefore empower the world. So these beanies are a twofer because they are granny squares. This is the one I made last week, and I really, really, really love it because it's pink and fatigue. Pink being a color that I like to wear. I won't say it's my favorite, but I do wear it a lot. So, and then the fatigue, because it's all about this fight to encourage people to join this movement. So, but granny squares in that instance, because it does take a little bit of work to do granny squares because you have to tie in all the colors after you're done working with them. And, but more importantly, it just really, really looks cool when you put it on. And I love granny squares and I'm putting granny squares on everything. So if you have not purchased something from me yet, or if I have not made something for you already, you will notice that I use and incorporate granny squares a lot. And it's because it reminds me of my childhood and reminds me why I love crocheting so much and why I continue to do it. And so when people ask, wow, Ladybug, you really have a lot of energy. And I say, yeah, I crochet. So that's really the reason. But yeah, about these beanies here. So not only do they look cool and feel cool, but they also have an opportunity that when you purchase one, you are sponsoring two girls to participate in the Believe in What You Dream workshop. So the workshop itself is designed to help young girls discover their superpower. When I was 12, I discovered crochet was a superpower, not only because of the instance of being able to create something, but also because it helped me correlate my internal power of thought and how I can take those thoughts and transfer that energy into my hands and create things, make movement, have my dream a reality and not just being able to follow a dream, because even with the nature of the word follow, it requires a definition behind it to give you instructions to go with it. And so Believe in What You Dream program is designed to help girls build that correlation between what their superpower internally is. It can be transferred in the form or expressed in the form of being a passion, something that you really, really love, that you care most about in life, and being able to what I call the think link methodology. So you think and link it to your hands in a way where you can connect your dreams and really push forward. And so In the workshop, we have 3 different levels that they'll go through. First, they start with creating a dream catcher. So the dream catcher, in its symbolism, allows them to visualize dreams. So we all have dreams. Sometimes we forget about them, or you have people on the exterior tell you almost to forget about them. But creating your own dream catcher does 2 things. It allows you to take your thoughts and connect it into something you create, and then you hang it up as a daily reminder. So when you go to sleep, you look at it like, I remember you dream. You wake up, hey, I still remember you, and I thought about you while I was asleep. And all day, I'm going to be reminded that I have dreams to follow. That's all we're doing with the dream catcher, but we're making it their process and making them involved with that process as well. Secondarily, they're going to have journal. So inside a journal, they're going to literally take those same thoughts with the dream catcher. They created the way of just capturing their dreams, but with the journal, they're going to capture it by writing them out. And there's a second step with the journaling too, is that not only are they writing out what their dreams are, but they also are going to be charged to do another thing with that. And that other thing is going to be go back and write down what has worked for you. So in this process, hey, I have this dream that I want to do, blah, 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 whatever that blah, 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 blah may be. For me, I'm a pilot of a movement, right? That requires a lot. I have to connect with people. I have to think about how I'm going to express myself in a way that is felt. I have to think about what those steps are going to look like, figure out who's going to be with me on that journey. And then I got to think about my passengers, right? So same thing is true for anyone who has dreams. You have to be able to write them down and come back and figure out what's working, what's not working. And you can do that internally. You don't have to have outside folks to be here with you. So Dreamcatcher, journal your journey. And then finally, you learn to crochet. And crocheting is a way to tie everything back in, right? So everything that you do moving forward becomes this thought that when you're crocheting, you're literally, weaving in your thoughts, your actions, and everything all into something that ultimately becomes something that people can wear. It's beautiful. You can see it's tangible. And that's throughout life. So literally everything that I have touched, crocheted from the moment I learned has some kind of level of energy that started with me that's being transferred over. And now my story becomes that person's story. That person's story becomes a story for everyone around. And that's what we're cultivating with Believe in What You Dream. So if you're interested in a beanie, please click the link in the bio. You can also go to linktree.com/yarn movement. You can go to donate.yarnmovement if you're interested in just supporting a Dream Girl kit. So the Dream Girl kit, just going to tell you a little bit about the Dream Girl kit. Inside the Dream Girl kit, they're going to get all of the materials required for the 3-part program that I just went through. So they're going to get the materials for Dreamcatcher. They're going to get the materials for journaling. So they're going to get their own journal, pens, stickers, cute things that go inside, just to encourage them to continue to write. And lastly, all the materials that are needed to crochet. So that's a hook, that's the yarn, that's the scissors, and that's energy, right? But in addition to that, because we are going into sometimes rural, underdeveloped communities, I want to be able to also address some of the social disparities of girls who are in these communities, one of which is personal care and personal hygiene, and even personal energy, right? So starting off with personal energy, that means literally power, right? So having an ability to flick on a light and be able to see. So I partner with a solar energy company. Solar energy company is coming in and they are giving each girl lamps inside the Dream Girl kit. So, we'll give each girl a lamp inside the Dream Girl kit that are being purchased from the solar energy company. And then as far as personal hygiene products, that's soaps, that's lotions, that's things that make you smell good. That is sanitary products as well, because we don't want the social disparity to creep in and immediately stop or, deflect their energy from being able to be in a position to actually believe in what they dream and continue to go into this journey. So if you're interested in participating or contributing to this mission with Believe in What You Dream, please visit donate.yarnmovement.com, or click the link in the bio and get yourself that. And if those two don't work, just send me a message. I'll get all of it. And we'll get your hat going and you can rock this joint in a couple of months. So let's get to today's project, because I have quite a few orders that have come in, and I decided that I'm going to come live and do some of the orders, because for those who are watching, I want them to be able to see their beanie being made. So today's colors, I chose this orange, pink. It's like a deep pink, and it's like blush pink color, and guacamole green. Just because these are apparently a part of the trends that are moving into the next season for 2020. So might as well get ready. So let's get started. Also, for those who are out there who are crocheters and you're interested in contributing in the way where you can contribute squares. So every beanie requires 8 granny squares. So if you're interested in contributing that way, just hit me up too, because that works out for me. I have quite a few crocheters who have been doing just that. So join me in that process and let's go. I decided too that I'm going to make a new backdrop, because I have sold quite a few actually from having this here. And so I thought that might be a good idea for me to continue to make them live too, so people can see those being made. So anyway, gonna start on beginning of this square. Hopefully I have some scissors around. Okay, so this middle part of the square is done. Boom. And I am using a 4-ply yarn, and it's a carrot orange. I really don't know the color that they call it, but it looks carrot orange to me. So we're gonna go with carrot orange for those who are stitching and following along. Okay, so then we're just gonna start just adding in our colors. So we already have one, the middle of the square complete. Okay. Let's give this some kind of order. So let's talk a little bit about travel and why I love traveling so much. So as a little girl, my parents thought it would be a really cool idea. And I don't know about you all out there, but we had a full subscriptions to Encyclopedia Britannicas. And at some point, I felt like my brothers and I would kind of get in, trouble, or my parents just trying to give us something to do. And we would literally have to go chapter by chapter and figure out what we learned. And so for me, since I'm the youngest, I think that it was just cool to flip the pages and copy things so I can practice my writing. And so I really began to enjoy that process, and I started drifting off or expanding off into other books. And some of those books included, other publications such as National Geographic. And within National Geographics, it put in my mind all the different places that I wanted to travel when I was of age. And today I am happy and blessed to say that I have been doing just that. I set a plan when I was younger to travel the world, and I didn't know then, but I was hoping it would kind of work out, that I would be able to do what I love, which is crochet and connect with people, and figure out how we can connect and collaborate. And that's really been the interesting part of yarn movement. It's a very important part, actually, being able to connect with folks. Have friends all over the world, have access to, some of the best opportunities and experiences ever. So thus far, um, yarn movement has taken me to various places, such as, um, let's say Mexico. Mexico was probably the very, very first place that I traveled to by myself. And I did so my first year of college. So, my freshman year of college, I studied abroad. And although I was with a group, I still traveled by myself to get there. And it's my first time um, really going so far by myself. And I must say, it was a liberating experience that I I think that once I got that kind of high, I just continue to follow it for now and forevermore. So with yarn movement, I've gone now back into Mexico, and I have taught groups of girls to crochet along with Nigeria. I went to Morocco, has traveled to Tanzania. I'm looking forward. This year would have been the year of going to Ghana and South Africa. But due to quarantine and COVID, I've been in the house since February. So I don't plan on moving or changing that until like we have a real go ahead. And that go ahead for me kind of looks like a vaccine of some type, or really just a full blown protective order of how to really travel and protect yourself. So I will be here making granny squares and looking at you all like, hey, until that happens. But it doesn't stop the work. I have built really, really great partnerships with NGO, that is non-government organizations, nonprofit organizations that are based all over the globe, that are active, and we engage daily. Actually, thank God for WhatsApp and online apps and platforms that we can continue to plan and operate in that space. Especially now, just because it doesn't matter what the world is going through, because I believe that all girls have a right to grow to be super leaders. So therefore, they have to understand their own superpowers. And if I'm able to show them how to control and understand their superpower, meanwhile, have a sense of self care that's attached to that, self value, then, you know, that doesn't require for us to have a face to face engagement. And it's not a proximity thing, it's a feeling thing that at this point I've been able to cultivate pretty well. And hope you all continue to join and watch this process, because it's been a long time coming. It's taken a lot of planning. It's a big overhaul to think about something so grand without, really understanding where your money's going to come from, not understanding or not being able to explain to other folks who don't quite get the vision of why you're doing what you do. Um, it's been some time, but now is the time to really just take it to the next level. And I appreciate the support, because at this point, moving forward, I've done as much as I can on my own. Now it's about connecting with the right people with the right heart who want to continue to um, take this thing and hit the ground running. Okay, because there's a lot of girls to influence and empower. So this first square is almost done. guacamole green. Always thinking about food, and I like to eat. That is important. Let's see here. I'm gonna make sure I keep this video to close to an hour as I can because I have a bunch of swimwear to complete. I wanted to make sure I can continue this sip and stitch so I can connect. You guys can see my face. You know, even if it's just one or two people come in, leave it for folks to come and watch these videos, contribute, engage, support, keep me encouraged. Because COVID tried me, but it didn't work. Just kind of thinking about like, oh my gosh, how I'm going to be, able to get this done and not be able to move. And I've been able to do so much more just being here and dialing into focus to make sure I don't let girls down moving forward. Okay. So our first square is done. So be sure to close off and weave back because don't want to let any unraveling happen, but you also don't want to cut too close because if it does unravel, you still have enough space to go back and fix it if you needed to. Okay. Yep. I'm just going to make a little closure. There we go. Here we are. So this is our square for today. Remember, we have orange, pink, blush pink, and guacamole. That's it. And remember, these are our samples. So this square is going to turn into this beanie. It's going to be magical. Hey, girl. I'm just sitting here making my granny squares for this beanie that's been ordered. But I am going to be taking this show over to YouTube, which is live now. But I just wanted to rally up a few folks so they can watch this happen. Oh, it kind of looks like a flower from a distance. So yes, so please be sure to jump on YouTube on the Movement page. And if you are here because you're interested in making a donation for Yarn Movement, you go to donate.yarnmovement.com. We do have a 501c3, so all of your donations will be taxable. So you get a twofer. You can support and take a financial, benefit on the other side of that, which is important for all of us. If you are a crocheter and you're interested in making squares, I'm requesting that folks make 8 granny squares, and I will do the live video putting them together, and we can therefore make an exchange in that way that we just helped 2 girls within the program. Yes, it is yarn. These are my backdrops that I create really for photo shoots, but since we've been forced to be social distanced, it just works well to be there, and it's a nice, colorful way to engage and say yarn movement. Thank you very much. So again, I was telling everyone like I like to tell everyone, my granny square story. So I have other backdrops that I normally have up when I'm doing other things. So this is a blanket that I also use for a backdrop, right? So this right here, any crocheter knows that if they're making you one of these, you love them, okay? Love them. This is 300 granny squares. 300 granny squares, right? And I've made so many of these. I made about maybe, so my dad is the youngest of 13. So I have a lot of cousins. I have a really big family, but I made a decision when I was crocheting a little younger that I was just going to make granny square blankets because I wanted to challenge myself. And so this one right here is mine. It's really old. You can't tell. It's been washed 1,000 times, but it really, really just looks cool when you take photos and you have an opportunity to show your dedication. Like, this is dedication because I'm here and I just made a granny square that y'all saw. Took me probably like, what, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. But okay, so 15 times 300. This is time. So again, yarn movement for me is just putting, people in a space where we can share like creative power, of course, where it's sharing the power of creativity to empower the world. But it's also about helping consumers understand the type of work that goes in here. So literally, if you're in a space where, you're going to something that's being manufactured, and you're comfortable throughout time to say, oh, can I have a discount? Cool. But when something is being handmade, please understand that individuals who are hand making things for you are actually putting real time in the production of your garment, your accessory, whatever it is. So out of respect, value the craftsmanship of things that you're consuming. The consumption is a very high level, we understand, because everything is in high fashion. You have a capability to click a button and have something delivered to you within a day, sometimes between a few hours. But we're actually putting time into what we're creating. And I just want you all to understand that part, because that part is important. Because when you do understand and you see how vibrant something is, like literally each color is being changed. And this is a little larger granny square. I think this is more closer to the ones that I'm making now, right? But even with these, this is 100 granny squares. Same time, 100 times 15 to 20 minutes. That's the time that's going in here. So when you're quoted a price, respect the price, because it's real energy and time that's going into it. I hope that's clear as pie. And if you need to have any more further questions or answered about that part, that's the only part that I'm going after, is really just making sure, for me, crochet things are incredibly cool. They look great. I love crochet. I have always, but I also respect handcrafters around the globe, because it's time, we're making things in our beds sometimes, we take it everywhere we go. I remember, especially I started a side hustle in high school, and I was just making beanies. I come from a culture of sneakers. And so, even to this day, I'm an exclusive sneaker seller because I understand the value of sneakers. Right. But then it was about making the hat to go with the exclusive, sneaker that was being released. And it turned out to be a really good business because everyone needed, a beanie to wear. I'm here in California, in Northern California, and anyone who has visited here, even if it's hot during the day, when that sun drops, it's chilly. And so having a beanie to go with your sneakers, that was the thing. And so that was a side hustle that I ended up growing into. When I finally did go to college, I expanded that into, being there. I went from California to DC. I went to Howard undergrad. So being at Howard, I was a crocheter on campus, and literally I'm crocheting everywhere I go to this day. It didn't matter if I was in church, school, class, everywhere. And I continue to do so. And I put that kind of time and energy into getting things complete, right? And so I just want people to understand that journey, that when people are making stuff for you, like having that high level of demand of, something coming to you, just be mindful that when it does come to you, that we're making sure, that you see this is a loose um yarn, yarn piece, but or yarn thread, but it's locked in. You can wash it. You can do anything in this moving forward, and it's not going to unravel and come apart. And I think even just that, and not only that part, I've made blankets. Those blankets are over 20 years old. Well, the first one is, not the second one. The first one is. I made that long time ago, and it's still holding, and it's been washed, like I said, 1,000 times. It's been through spills. It's been through, being everywhere with me. And so when you think about that, you don't want to rush that process. We're not machines, and we're not trying to compete against machines either. We're just showing you how how valuable your money is to us as well. So if you're going to pay us for time to create something for you, understand the process that, some things may end up being at some point. For some people, they do have, machines that allow them to do straight lines, and then they have to take the straights of that and put it together and stitch it together to make a dress or make pants or whatever it may be. But still, that stitching going back and forth, that requires time. And they want to make sure that if you're sending your measurements, that when it gets to you, that it fits. It took me 10 years to master swimwear, to a point now where it doesn't really matter who comes to me. I can make swimwear for anyone, no matter the size, shape, or figure. And it's because I've done enough research to understand which yarn to use. If you can get in the water, it becomes swimmable. And even to prove it to everyone else that I put that kind of time in it, I flew out to Yacht Week just because I wanted to go to Yacht Week in Croatia. But I made sure that the pieces that were created were swam for 3 or 4 hours in water, came out, chilled, got back in, washed it in a machine, air dry, because I always air dry everything, but washed it in a machine and still rocking. So just making sure to value that. And not only that, you have something unique that everyone is not going to have. And it was made custom and signature for you. So that's why I'm here every Sunday. We're talking about sipping and stitching. So yes, we're talking about granny squares for those who just tuned in. How much I love them. And if you missed my blankets, just fast forward or fast backwards, rewind, so you can see what's going on. Okay. So we're using, I called it carrot orange. Using carrot orange to make the center. Then we're using, I guess we can call it like a rouge pink. Then we have a blush pink. So that just like almost makes it feel like a flower. And then guacamole green. Okay. Three, four. Okay. So I'm getting ready to do a little bit more tutorial videos. I have a lot of them complete already. Um, but I didn't know how interested people would be to look at granny squares being made. But I'm finding out there's a lot of crocheters that I know who they don't make granny squares. And I thought that was like, I was super offended. I was just like, what? Because they're just my favorite. I wanted it to be everyone else's favorite, I guess. But so I'm going to be doing tutorials to show people how much versatility you have around doing granny square projects, and invite a lot of folks that I've either already taught to crochet, put together kits, um, and do some more step and stitches and stitch alongs to show you how I do it. Because even I noticed with a few crocheters who have sent granny squares that we even do that different. I don't know if it's different tension, um, or different size needle or hook, or what it is, but okay. How did I get into crocheting so many moons ago? Spending time with my grandmother and her friends. Actually, both of my grandmothers. I learned to sew from my father's mom, and I learned actually to crochet from my mom's mother's really close friend. Her name was Cora May. My grandmother was a cross stitcher. My mom's mom was a cross stitcher. So I used to help her untangle all of her thread, and it was like nerve wracking. Um, because if you crochet, or even if you just deal with yarn, if you don't create it into balls or have it in, some kind of braided form of a skein, like it gets everywhere. And the same is true as that thread, but it's so much thinner. So I would help her organize her thread, which I think that's why I got into the color matching that I do. I throw a bunch of colors together and it just kind of looks good. But I think it's because of just watching how my grandmother would do her cross stitch patterns. But Cora May is the one who taught me to crochet. She used to, well, my grandmother used to host these parties, get togethers for her girlfriends. They had a little like women's group, and they would get together, and it was like kind of like their way of like engaging with each other every week or every month. And it would switch off on people's houses. But whenever it was my grandmother's turn, I somehow always ended up there. I would spend the night on Friday night so I can be there on Saturday morning. And I just love being around her, her and her girlfriend, just hearing them talk. Even though they used to tell me like stay out of grown folks' business and go in a room and do something. Like I still would creep out into, they would be in like my grandmother's den, and I'll go out there and you know I'll make myself helpful by helping them unravel or detangle their thread. And Miss Court would come in with these huge like tote bags of like yarn, and she'll get to move in her hands, and she crocheted really really quick. And while all the other women were kind of working on their small projects, and then when they'll meet back up, they'll finish working on their project, she'll be done with like a blanket. And I'm like, this is what I need to learn how to do. They are wasting their time with all that tangled yarn or a thread. And so I asked her if she'll teach me how to crochet. Um, Immediately, probably like 15 minutes into the lesson, I knew it was going to be something I continue to do. I was super hyped because I can go back to the meetings, and now I can be a part of the meetings, and I can be in the mix and in the business. um, and so that was kind of like my influencer too, to be kind of like these women. It was anywhere from 25 to 30 women who would get together and, have their cocktails and talk, which is why this is called a sip and stitch. And I realized that, people around me, they were impressed. I mean, I was impressed too. They were like really impressed. And right away, my classmates in school, they would have me make beanies for them that looked horrible. They look horrible, but they were cute. And when I say horrible, because you would get something done and you can't like repeat that same pattern. You don't know how you did or how you got there. So literally, I made the first beanie that I made look like a beret. So it's like a really tight hair, and it's like a muffin top, and like you could wear it to the side. Couldn't figure out how I did it, and I tried so many times to repeat that, and it just didn't work out. Yeah. So that's how my crochet journey kind of started. Not kind of started. That's how it started. And I had a lot of hours put in. And I think that when people found out, especially those who grew up, I realized that there is a generation of adults who, growing up, they all learned how to crochet. And I just picked up tips from a lot of them, like my godmother. Oh, she made me cry so many times. Oh my gosh. But she's the one who taught me to hold my hands properly so I don't worry about corporal tunnel in the future, which is actually this way that I have it here. It's just like you do this, you know, wrap around of your fingers, but the fact that you can control your tension here and you don't have to have cramping in your hands. Okay. So I think I have my 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yep, I have my 8. So I am going to disconnect from IG so I can hold on to my video. But this is a square that we're working on today. I'm going to finish them up on YouTube. YouTube Live, which is up right now. So if you go to YouTube, just go to the Yarn Movement channel. Please do your girl a favor and click the bell button and subscribe to my page. And let's continue to watch the process of this square turning into one of these. Okay. So I'm going to sign out here. There we go. It's a lot of steps. Add, boom, that's there. And close out here. Sorry guys, just 2 seconds. Let me just close out here.
So welcome to it.
And then we are back. Boom. Okay, so we have one square complete and we just have to do 7 more and then I can show you how to put it together, okay? So hopefully this will be really, really quick. I don't keep you guys for all day. So we have carrot orange, this rouge, pinkish red color, blush, pink, and avocado green. All right, so we are done with orange. So let's get this next color going. Okay. So if you are tuning in, I am live on YouTube. This is a new thing I'm trying to start here to get my subscribers up. So even if you don't follow me on YouTube already, I would love for you to go to the Yarn Movement YouTube page and press that little button over there, that little bell, and subscribe for your girl's channel. Okay. Oh, much appreciated. So my goal for the remainder of this year is to come live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Granted that I don't go anywhere because I'm on quarantine. And I respect the quarantine because I have not been out of the house except for 2 times now since February. And one of those times I had to go get my hair braided because I got sick of doing my hair. Hello, Kanya. So if you all have YouTube, please go to my page and subscribe, okay? Just press the little bell and, give me some love. Leave a comment or something. So I am making one of the crochet beanies for the sake of those who are just tuning in because I popped into my personal page on Facebook. If you don't know already, Yarn Movement has a nonprofit side where we are traveling the globe, helping young girls discover their superpowers. And that superpower is really just discovering what they're most passionate about and helping them be in a space where they can have a way to exchange or therefore think and link. So identify a way to think and link it to their hands, and that it is their dreams to their hands to reinforce in life them being able to do something. I don't know about you all, but I grew up with folks telling me to follow my dreams. And I really discovered, like, really after college, especially, that in order to follow, you have to have a plan. And in order to have a plan, you have to believe in something to follow and have a plan to create. So I decided to call the organization Believe in What You Dream for that reason, literally to remind you every day that you have a dream, believe in it, move forward, you can make it happen. So the beanies are being sold for the support of a girl who's going to go through the program. The program is 3 levels. We start off with creating dream catchers. And with a dream catcher, it's just a visual reminder, that you create it with your hands, that every time you go to sleep, wake up, you get to look up above your bed, that hey, I have a dream, go to sleep, you think about your dream. I don't know about you all, but most of my processing happens at night while I'm sleeping. And then you wake up with a strong reminder, positive reminder, reinforcement that you have a dream. And you start your day with that thought every morning. Then you follow that up with journaling. So journaling for me has been super important because not for anything else, I was able to write down things that, are important to me as far as my dreams go, right? But something else that I did, and I have a whole lot of journals over the years that I've collected, that at some point, 5 years or even just 6 to 12 months down the line, when I went back and looked at, oh, wow, I did this step. These are the people who helped. This is where I made a mistake or a misstep. This is what I needed to learn from it. And I've been able to gradually come up with this process of what has worked for me. And therefore, that is my story of success. And for every online guru, that is what they're teaching people, to find your own success, find your own journey, whatever it may be. But if you were to go through and actually journal your process, of journaling your journey, you already have it. And you can go back and read for yourself what you've already been through and not necessarily rely on an outside source or entity to tell you how dope you are, what you've already done, and remind you of it, because they may or may not know, depending on where they met you on your journey, right? So I'm teaching that early, and the girls that I'm working with are the ages 14 to 19. And so being able to give them that moving forward is just a tool. So they have their dream catcher that they can see. So that's a visual reminder. They have their written reminder that they have inside their journal. And then I teach crochet for two reasons. One is because it allows you to think and link your thoughts to your hands of things that you can do. So whether it's crochet, it's writing, it's producing something, it's whatever you're doing by hand, you can control the thoughts here. You create the plan by having your journal there and taking it back out and creating a plan that works out. And for me, my success story is this, is that, just to give you an example, last year when I was planning to go to Tanzania, my goal was to work with 300 girls. For each of those girls, I needed to have a Dream Girl kit for them. Inside that Dream Girl kit is the materials, supplies needed to journal, create their dream catcher and learn to crochet. Also, one of the things that I implemented from previous practices and things that I learned from times before, because the nonprofit itself, that work started 4.5 years ago. Nigeria was the first location. Morocco was next. And I noticed that there was a power issue, power and literally power. So the only thing that I can think of to just like kind of serve that disparity was coming back with solar. I decided lamps. So lamps went into the kit. Also in Morocco, I noticed that girls weren't having access to personal hygiene products. And the biggest one was sanitary products. And so I'm like, okay, I'm bringing all of that. So soap, sanitary products, whatever it may be. And so those all go into the kit. And that's why we're calling it a Dream Girl kit, because your dreams, your girl, and this is your kit, are therefore your toolkit to jump you through some of the hoops. Because naturally, I know my energy is one that, just me being around, being the hype person that I am, I get everybody else hyped too. But who am I to come in and get you all hype, and we can't even sit back and address the daily things that are easily solved? Okay, let's give you this so you can have something. So when thinking about that, I started raising funds, and this is the first year I decided to crowdfund last year, which I posted a few posts online. I create a page for Believe in What You Dream, and my request was literally to have individuals help who had a heart or a compassion for helping girls in other countries or in rural areas or underdeveloped, or just being in a space where you help, or you believed in me and that's what you wanted to do. 2.5 months in, I raised $25,000 crowdfunding. And I believe I was able to do that because I had a plan. Not only was I coming online to say, hey, I need your help, this is the program, but I took the time to create the program, and I invested 100% of commissions and funds that came from the sale of Yarn Movement products, right? Sorry about that. So I put 100% of the funds that came from Yarn Movement into the development of this program, and it just worked out. Facebook hated on me and cut my video off just now. So that is why I am YouTube Live. You all, I'm on YouTube Live. I don't know what just happened with Facebook, but I got kicked off. I was in a zone too. But I was explaining why I am coming on live every Sunday and doing Sip and Stitches, because I'm sharing my journey. I'm sharing my story. I'm letting people know what happened, what has been the thing here. Hey, cousin. I'm making granny square beanies just to have something that kind of symbolizes the journey of, like, if you support through purchase of one of the granny square beanies, I have a bunch of them done, but I'm working on one now. This is actually colors that someone ordered, so I'm doing it live. So when that person gets to watch a video, they actually see their beanie being made, and then when they wear it, I can share the video. And if you watch the video and you saw this being made, now you're like, oh, I watched her make it. But yeah. So that's why I'm here every Sunday. I mean, let's be honest, where am I going? Nowhere. I'm going to be right here in this house, making sure that I stay COVID free until I feel like, or God tells me it's time to do something different. So I'm here until then, every Sunday, same time, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I'm encouraging everyone too, if you have not already subscribed to the Yarn Movement YouTube page, please do so. When you go see YouTube, just type in Yarn Movement, you'll see my page. Um, it'll say Yarn Movement. I don't think, yeah, my face is not there. That'll be crazy. But you'll see my face in videos for sure. And if you can just press that little bell button, ding, so you can subscribe. Because social has restrictions, like they just kicked me off a second ago. But my videos are constantly kicked off, and I am constantly in social media jail, shadow banned. You name it, it's me. When people are online complaining that they got shadow banned, that's been my journey. I get shadow banned. My videos are constantly taken down. But I'm here, you know. Hey, figure it out. So I have to make 8 granny squares to complete one beanie. So I'm in the process of doing those now. And sharing stories, because I have a lot of stories to tell. Um, I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, so there's a lot of rise and falls to share that has given me the up at bats and, like really, I would say the audacity and dope to keep going. um, but yeah. And I wasn't always making money, but now I am. I understand how to have a business and understand cash flow. And as a matter of fact, I have another business where I'm helping other businesses do the same thing. And it's because I've had so much experience, I can see it almost like with my eyes closed. It's easy for me within really like 15 minutes to get you to a place where you can have a 15-second response of what you do. Like for me, I can say Yarn Movement. Uh, my goal is to help inspire consumers to value craftsmanship within their consumption. And what does that mean? That means that when you purchase something that's handmade, just to value it. Understand it's going to be better than something that's made by a machine in bulk. Understand that there was love put into it, and understand time. So literally, it's going to take time. It's going to take money, but it's going to be well worth it, and it's going to last forever. Earlier, I was sharing with folks. So this is a granny square blanket because if you guys have not figured it out, I'm going to keep on repeating it. But granny squares are my favorite stitch, and it reminds me of how I got started, how long I've been doing this, but it also takes me back to all those times that I spent with my grandmother and her friends and the conversations that we're having and the wisdom they were dropping in my life. But this is 300 granny squares. So I made this granny square earlier. It takes me about 15, maybe 20 minutes to make one granny square times 300. So if you order something from me or someone who hand makes things and you want it to have, be prepared to pay the bill because there's time that's placed into it and there's good energy. And for the most part, I can just speak for myself. I also source good quality material. Sometimes it's, hand woven or hand spun. It's also being dyed by plants. So it's not a chemical that's coming into your life that you're going to wrap up in. It's not something you're going to put in your machine. It's not going to be good for you. Another one that I've created is this one here. That one is over 15 years old that I just showed you. It's been washed 1,000 times. It's been through some crazy things, like as big spills, chocolate spilling on it because I was younger and I thought it was okay to just eat on things and, all kind of things that happen. But I've been able to maintain it. It's been washed. It has not unraveled. It looks good. Same thing is true here. Some of you all might recognize this one because I was doing these squares live. I did 100 squares each day to make this about maybe 6 years ago or something like that. So this blanket is about 6 to 7 years old. Um, but yeah, looks good. It's unique. No one else is going to have it. So my goal with Yarn Movement, it is a global fashion and lifestyle brand. So I show people how I've been able to travel, and it's been always my mission to travel around the globe for a very long time. I was introduced to traveling through reading, and that was the influence of my parents who they didn't allow us to watch TV during the week. And, it was like back then it was punishment. My brothers and I used to sneak and try to watch TV and then turn the TV against the wall and all kind of other stuff. Um, but even in the midst of doing those things, we still were able to read. And a big thing was like, Encyclopedia Britannicas and, um, National Geographics, that used to be the thing, like having a yellow magazine, like going across your bookshelf was a thing. And so I just did a lot of reading and it took my imagination. I learned back then as a child that, creativity without imagination leads to no meaningful results in what you're doing. Because if you can't imagine yourself already there, then it's going to be hard for you to get there. So because of that, I travel a whole lot and I create things to travel. Like the bigger one I created because that is my travel blanket. I take it on the plane with me wherever I'm going. And that's what I wrap up with. I bring my own blanket, and most of my journeys are sometimes very long, 22-hour flights. That's because of layovers. They make you fly into Europe before you go to Africa sometimes. But I'm always in a space where I have my own things and I feel comfortable. So, some of the things that you will see in some of my collections, like right now, it's all about swimwear. So, my swimwear, I put about 10 years, maybe a little over than that, because I started crocheting swimwear in 2001. And I took some time in between there to do some research on what kind of yarn I should use that could be swimmable. you know, when I was making swimwear back then, it was just like just having something unique, and it wasn't really about getting in the water and doing that part. Um, but now I make it so it's swimmable, it stretches to your body, you can wash it, always air dry, because that's important. Um, Phone's gonna die. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. Um, let's make sure the phone doesn't die. That's an important part. Okay, so don't fall. But yes, it's about research, it's about work. Know that when you come to me, I'm gonna make sure you're happy 100%, and you'll get your money's worth and you'll look good. I don't have a restriction on who I make things for. You can come to me any, body type, any, now I don't create everything because there are some pieces that I just don't do, but for the most part, I'm creating products for all body types and my goal is to help you embrace your body and look good in it. So for swimwear, I do all sizes. Um, and you can wash it, you can swim in it, it stretches, it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't get heavy. I use um, positively sourced yarn, um, and it's vegan dyed, there's no chemicals, economically friendly. It's coming from communities of artisans who, when you purchase, you're also helping their communities, you're helping their business thrive. So you get all that in one purchase, you know? Oh, thanks, Chris. I'm gonna have to turn this one off. My phone is dying. I'm gonna check back in, guys. Okay. Let me finish these squares. Messing around with people. I gave myself a whole hour to make sure these were done. Okay. Get this done. Okay. Here we go. Okay, back in action again. My other phone's getting ready to die, so just went ahead and cut that off. So I have color number 2 complete. Oh, hey, cousin. So I'm back here making granny squares. I'm working on another granny square beanie. This is the one from last week. It's a pink and fatigue. And this is a different style. It's a little bigger. Different size heads, because some people, you may have a peanut head, but just in case you have, a regular size bucket head like myself, this is my size here. So I'm not playing you. But if your head's bigger than that because of hair or just because of circumference of your head, I got you too. It's genetics. Oops, oops, oops. So we just have two more colors, two more rows of color. And then I can pull this baby together. Hey, hey. Okay. So boom. So now I just need to put two more colors to finish off these granny squares. This is the sample. There's orange. I call it carrot. This is carrot, orange, rouge, pink, and blush, and then avocado green. Why do I pick food? Because I'm greedy like that. Yeah, I do crochet pretty fast, Ethan. You're correct. Mostly because I'm looking to finish this beanie so everyone can see and get back to the swimwear that I'm working on because I have quite a few pieces to get out this week. So, Sammy. Okay. So most crocheters don't like doing granny squares because you have to switch colors so often and make sure that all of your yarn is woven back in so you don't have any unraveling. But I don't mind because I think it looks really cool after it's done. And I just like working with a lot of color. Oops. So if you're watching and you're interested in learning to crochet, I encourage you to go subscribe to my YouTube page and let me teach you. Because I don't know about other crocheters that you may know, but I hire other crocheters to work with me because um, I like to keep the authenticity of it being handmade products. And as my business has grown over the years, it's been important to me to make sure that I can help other crocheters, maintain their business by bringing them business. And it's a mutually beneficial thing because we both get paid. We both can continue to have our businesses running and don't have to worry about the competitive threat of trying to compete against a large manufacturer. So it just works out. And so also, I will be launching another phase to my business, which is called Addiction by Yarn Movement, because I'm an addict for handcrafted goods. And those who buy handcrafted goods, whether it's jewelry and, um, handbags and leather smith work, whether it's bags, wallets, and shoes, sandals, beaded work. Um, Within the travel that I've done over the last 15, 16 years, I've connected with artisans around the world and continue to have done, business with them, whether it be some of the work that I've like the designs that I've sold to other brands and other designers, being able to source from other communities of artisans has been important to my journey. It's really been able to um, really open up some really cool doors, especially in travel and getting accounts overseas. A lot of those came from the relationships I built over the years. Decided it would be a cool thing to release a database in an online platform for those, especially who are in the States, who are looking for individuals who are handcrafters who can, create things, whether it be for your boutiques, for your own personal lines, um, and if you want to incorporate that, make that available to you. So, you can have that access as well. Because what it does on the other side, especially during a time like this with the country and the world shutting down, people aren't traveling, but, you know, some sense of normalcy of life and how we're going to be consuming is taking place still. Many of us have adopted Amazon as the only solution, and that's fine. But just showing that there are other options of having a personal relationship with someone who can make something for you, it makes it better because right now, if you purchase things on Amazon, you're blindly purchasing from people that you don't know. Um, and it puts in your mind that the value is the convenience versus placing the value on what you're purchasing that's going to last longer. So I will be releasing Addiction by Yarn Movement, and I will share with you all some of the products, some of the artisans, because you'll get to meet them directly and have a direct source without having to hop on a plane, to have quality control of things that are being created while having a relationship and building and developing businesses and communities around the world. And those are the ones who need it most. I personally have watched some of the artisans that I've connected with uh, get railroad in their design process of creating things at cost, and when it gets to a luxury brand, it's marked up, which is fine because that is the business of fashion. However, the other side of it is making sure to go back to that community to give that, artisan or that community opportunity to have better conditions moving forward. So, your purchase could lead to, the installation or the development of lighting for an entire community means a lot different than you going on Amazon just to buy something that you can have. Um, and that is the mission of Yarn Movement. We are a global fashion brand and lifestyle brand, but our goal is to inspire consumers to value craftsmanship. Everything is moving into bespoke. So while you're purchasing, value the craftsmanship in within your consumption. Go to people who can create bespoke products for you. Like I have a whole list of people that, even some of them are here in the States, but even going through the process of sourcing, you know, I can share so many beautiful things that are made by hand. I mean, even just for one, this piece of fabric that I'm using as just as my tablecloth, so to say. Like this was picked up in Tanzania. This is all hand done, and this was made from a stamp of ebony wood. The stamp was carved out with the giraffe, and then it was a batik process. So this is like hand dyeing or tie dyeing, and this is all dyes that come from plants. And me purchasing that from the artisan who created it meant that they could send their kids to school for the week, you know, because if living in certain regions, you have to have the money to send your kids to school. And for some families, if their family is large enough or too large, they have to send their kids to school every other day. So I will be launching Addiction by Yarn Movement, and look out for that information along with new videos and new projects that I'm really excited about that, you know, COVID has been good for me because it has made me sit down, which normally people are used to looking at my feet and I'm traveling somewhere, but I've literally been in the house since February 25th. I've only been out twice. One was to go open up another bank account for another business that I started while I've been inside. And I had to do that in order to take advantage of some of the SBA dollars and the PPP dollars that come from the government. So I had to go into the bank. They would not let me do it online. And then the second time is I was going to get my hair braided so I could have a protective style at home. But these granny square beanies are being sold to support the nonprofit arm of Yarn Movement, which is Believe in What You Dream. I'm not sure if those who are just popping in, if you have heard Believe in What You Dream before, but it's a nonprofit 501c3. Our goal with with Believe in What You Dream is to help young girls discover their superpowers, and we do through a workshop that is, 3 levels. I based the workshop off of my own personal journey and research and trainings. As a scientist, I'm a behavioral research scientist by trade. That's my profession prior to coming into full time entrepreneurship. And what I've learned is how behaviors influence how we express ourselves outwardly. And so the goal is to provide tools to help with the flow of decision making. And crochet is a perfect way to do that because uh, the sense of it only having just a few patterns, there's literally only a few stitches that creates patterns, right? And you're just putting together different combinations of that. That's equivalent to someone who's teaching coding or learn coding. If you're a software engineer or work in the field of coding, that same code that you're teaching or training on the computer to show up in a certain way is the same code that's within here of a pattern that shows up like this. And so for me, being able to show the fluidity of being able to understand a concept in your life and take just easy tools to do that is where Believe in What You Dream kind of birthed out of. It's beyond that concept of following your dreams. You can be anything you want when you grow up, but it's also being in a space where you become a tangible part of your dreams by writing it down, using your hands to get there. Not just asking people for help, but understanding why you're asking people for help and what you need and how does that, align with where you're heading. And that may sound like a deep way of going, but that is literally legitimately where I have gone on my journey of crochet. It's been right here with me through everything, since age 12. It's taught me the importance of collecting thoughts, collecting wisdom, and weaving it into my life. Granny squares for me are important because they allow me to go back to those moments when I'm sitting down, spending time with my grandmother and her friends, and listen to some of the wisdom that was shared. And literally, this is crocheting for me as a trigger, to trigger the memory to get me back there. And it's something that's important because I think that at the same time, what's beautiful about our minds is that we have to do exercises that give us like a mental workout to allow it to grow and form. And, I think that also if we don't do it, we get stagnated in our steps and our thoughts, that if something didn't work out, we stop. And one thing about crocheting, I'll tell you just shortly, really quick, that even when you get into a rhythm, like I'm in a rhythm now, were I to do too many stitches or mess up, drop a stitch is equivalent of, taking a misstep in life. That literally I have a choice. I can just pull it right on out and start all over. And that's what I'm training and teaching in the courses of showing you how you can stop, pull it out and, start right all over again and not really be phased. Like it's not the end of the world. You got a bad grade. Okay, cool. What did you need to do next moving forward? Journal that down. What didn't you do? Well, you didn't study. Okay, well, How are you going to expect to do well on something if you didn't study? Or you didn't quite hit your mark on something. Okay, well, what's your plan moving forward? And literally, I used to not be a planner. And I noticed that once I really just start writing things down and going back to remember why something didn't work in the past, it's really just opened up this space. I mean, I was sharing earlier before I got cut off by Facebook that last year when I was planning to take Believe in What You Dream to Tanzania, prior years, I invested 100% of the proceeds from Yarn Movement. So anything I sold went into the travel that I would do and would go towards any of the yarn and the supplies that are being given to the girls in the group. I literally paid out of my earnings for Yarn Movement to really push this and see if it will be something that, number one, would take hold, would it be accepted in different cultures? Is it something I can scale? Because that's important when you're running a nonprofit, when you're going after um, anyone like an investor or sponsors. They want to see what you've done already. They want to see, how they can actually fit in, and if you're just leaning on them for money or whatever it may be. And so last year when I came on, I was doing similar videos, not even completely consistent because I was still trying to just figure out the steps. But I minimally did, sit myself down and set some goals. And my goal, one of the major goals, was working with 300 girls when I went, and being able to give them all the materials, and along with the extra additive, which is why the Dream Girl kits, which is why we're here today. I'm making these hats for Dream Girl kids, were even developed, to look at the social disparities that are being faced by girls. And girls, why girls? Because girls are being ignored. Literally, they don't get educated. They become a part of society. And the only task that they're, really able to do without being educated is be a mom. And is that okay for some people? Sure, but let's give them an option, And so the Dream Girl kits include solar energy lamps, because without light, you can't study. Without light, you also can't crochet. But the goal is not necessarily to just push crochet. It is a theoretical sense of giving the empowerment of the mind to show them something different, but also on the economic sense that if they do, just as I was telling people earlier, if you're one of those people who are interested in crocheting for the line of Yarn Movement, hit me up. And I hire people all the time to be hired hands to work with through projects, because it's important. Having a fashion show and having a buyer there that is a minimum of 200 pieces that you have to deliver. I'm not going to sit here and kill myself and do 200 pieces just so I can hold on to all the money. I'm going to hire other crocheters who I respect, and let's break down the money and let's all get paid, because that's what it's about. So looking at that, that is something that I'm offering as well for girls. If they are interested in that, if they learn and they want to work with the brand, that's an option on the table. So, it's offering a twofold or a twofer, where they're able to continue their education, feel empowered to want to do something, but have other options to be excited about. And I put a price point on it, and that price point, my goal was to raise 50 grand, but I did not raise 50 grand. I raised 25,000 in 2.5 months. And that was a big surprise for me. I still hit my number. The solar energy company, surprisingly, when I sat down with them, they were so inspired by the work and the stories so far, that they decided that we should do it together. And they were already doing work in the Tanzanian region. And so just worked out. So we went to 10 schools and 6 birthing centers, and they installed solar. I did my workshops. But the crazy thing is that although I was able to raise money and I got well enough like donations, whether it was money for them or purchasing or having donations of yarn coming in, and the sanitary products and some of the, hygiene products. What was interesting is that when we got to the first school, I don't know, in my mind, I just didn't plan for it to be 1,200 kids at the school. And there were 1,200 kids. Obviously, my number was too low hitting. It was 300 that I wanted to hit. There were over 1,200 kids at the school. And just let me know that moving forward, which is why I'm here and I've dedicated this time every Sunday to come on live to get people rallied up to understand what Believe in What You Dream program is, understand the mission that and the vision behind what's being created. And for those who have, a heart or a passion for it, get them involved, whether it's contributions, which you make those at donate.yarnmovement.com. Again, that's donate.yarnmovement.com. If you're interested in providing squares in your crocheter, for every one hat that we sell, so every one hat that's sold, that's 2 Dream Girl kits that are going to girls. And so if you want to contribute granny squares, 8 granny squares, send them over. I'll post it online. If it's sold, then we together just impacted, the lives of 2 girls. And that even works. I'm just interested in people, getting involved with that process and understanding and valuing the time and effort that's going into the care of empowerment of the next generation, or even just empowerment of yourself if I'm making something for you personally. That's why I'm here. That is why Chantel is here. And this is a sip and stitch, so I'm sipping. This is a mocktail, by the way. Today. I just couldn't do it to anything else because I have so many projects to finish up, especially the swimwear, because people are in their pools at their homes, or maybe they're going to the beach and they want to get their tans on and look cute. So I have to make sure I send out product this week. I've been really busy with that. So this is how I stay engaged, by coming online and just showing projects. So we just have one more color to finish up. And again, this is the complete one. And so I'm just making the other ones that go with it. Oh yeah, and I'm encouraging everyone to go follow my YouTube page, or at least subscribe to it and watch some of my videos, because I spend a lot of time and energy doing this for you guys. So if you go to YouTube, look for the Yarn Movement page and voila, press the little bell and say, ding, I'm subscribing. Then I'll tell you I love you. Long time. Okay, this is the 11th ending stretch. It's the last color. And we get to put it together. You know what? I have to make sure I'm doing the right color. I just thought about that. Don't want to do the wrong color. Okay. So hopefully you all are doing well on this Sunday afternoon. I'm picking up a sweat, trying to make sure I finish these. So I'd like to finish them up in the next 20 minutes. So appreciate you all tuning in and hearing my story and all my passion that I put into my work. Keeps me up at night. Working on people's projects, probably. Oops. Okay. So we have number 2 done. Only 6 more to go. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. I'm just finishing up granny squares for those who are just tuning in, with the goal of showing you this beanie complete. That way I can move on to the next project after I'm done with this live video. Okay. Well, this reminds me, so I call her my godmother because my parents and her husband, um, my dad and her husband used to work, her late husband used to work with my father growing up. And so he just always been Papa John and Mama Evelyn. So Mama Evelyn um, is the one who taught me how to hold my hands correctly. And I remember working on a scarf for her, and I somehow, this is, I was only crocheting for a few years at that time, and I dropped a stitch. And dropping a stitch also means that if you don't go back and fix it, then your project will be either lopsided or just not in the right shape at all. And so I dropped the stitch early on in the scarf, and she found it, and she took the whole scarf apart into the stitch and requested I fix it, because if not, her scarf will be lopsided, and she wanted to make sure that I perfect the stitch. I cried so hard. But I learned the lesson on that one. Like to this day, um, if I do drop a stitch, I go back and fix it like right away. I don't even play that game because I think about that moment of her. Can you imagine? I was almost done. I was working on a thing for like 2 or 3 days, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you dropped a stitch," and start pulling. And she was like, "You'll appreciate this later." And it still makes me cringe to this day. That was a lot of work, but she's right. Um, I don't have any project with drop stitches in it, and if it does, you can't see it. I'm good at camouflaging. That is the nature of having handmade things, though. Having those different parts makes it unique. but not if it's lopsided. Okay, guys, I have 20 minutes to finish. You guys think I can do it? I think so. Four more. Let's see. Oh, not if I drop stitch. Okay. Two. Okay. I'm been in the corner. I only have four more to do. I got 18 minutes. Let's see what happens. Yes, I do have lessons. I'm going to be rolling out Granny Square lessons in particular with some really dope projects. I have um, everything for yarn movement is centered around travel. So, like me myself, I have a Granny Square passport, a Granny Square travel pillow. Um, these Granny Squares hats are another thing. I do sweaters, pillows, and there's basically 12 projects. So it's one project for every month that we'll work on in the lesson. But it starts off with the basics, of course. So I have 17 minutes. So it took me 2 minutes to do that. Let's get it going, girl. Okay. Okay. 16 minutes. I'm putting pressure on myself. Here okay. Uh-oh. Nope, nope, nope. To our first corner. Keep it going, girl. Keep it going. You got this, girl. You're going to get this done. Here we go. Last corner. Uh-oh. And I have 15 minutes. So that took me 3 minutes that time. Okay. Boom. And then we're gonna make sure we finish that one. Three more in 12 minutes. Oh, goodness. Okay. 12 minutes. Really like 14, but let's see. I can't believe I call this green guacamole green, but it's guacamole green. Blush pink rouge. Rouge pink because it looks like a red, but it really is pink. Um, and carrot. I should have called the green peas, but it doesn't look like peas. It looks like avocado. So guacamole green. So we just have two more. Do you guys remember Beverly Hills Cop movie? I think it was two when they were at the horse race stealing money, and it was the tall lady. What's her name? Oh man, what is her name? I can't think, but she was just the one. She was the timekeeper. 13 minutes. We gotta go. Okay, now it's 12 minutes for real. So keep going, girl. You got it. You're gonna get this beanie done today. You and guacamole. Come on, guacamole. Okay, two more. You got this, girl. You got this. You got this, girl. You got this. Yeah, that's why I have to go because I have to make dinner. Let's go this way with it. Boom. Out of here. Okay. Two more. Two more. Two more. We just got two more. Then we gonna pull it all together, and then y'all gonna be like, "Whoa, you did that?" And I'm like, "Yep, I could teach you how to do it too." What? This could be your beanie. One of the two. Because these beanies are popping. Might as well get yours early because when everybody else started getting theirs, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I watched her do those beanies," and then just gonna be like, "Well, why you didn't buy one?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna get one now. I'm like, "All right, cool, let's do it. What color you want?" So you have flexibility of color. You can have up to four colors unless you want a extra large size. Those are really for like people who have a lot of hair and you want to cover up and you want to use it more of a coverage beanie versus being like a scully beanie. Five colors, but it is still hella big. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I got this. Yep. Can't take no more breaks. 10 minutes. Boom. Boom. We got this, girl. Boom. Do, 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 do. One more. One more. We got 9 minutes. Which is probably going to turn into 8. Like, 1 second. Just want to tie those in because when I go back to put them together, I want it to be all together now. Okay. Last one, no sweat. No sweat, Ladybug. You got this, girl. But I'm sweating. Boom, 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 boom. These colors kind of go with my outfit today. Not the blue, but the pink and the blush. The rouge and the blush colors. And from a distance, it looks like it's carrot, but it's not. Boom. 7 minutes. Oops. Okay. That's what I get for looking away. 7 minutes, guys. Okay. We are on the last corner and we got 6 minutes. 6 minutes. 6 minutes. 6 minutes to rush your own. Okay. And one last moment. Boom. 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 Okay. So we have 5 minutes now. So I'm going to add an extra 10 minutes in those just to make sure we can actually get this beanie all the way complete. But we made it to our 8. These are our 8 squares. And we're just going to start putting these together like a quilt. So as a quilt will be put together, you have your 2 pieces of fabric and then you're laying them on each other like this. And you're stitching the seam. So let's just go through and charge my other phone that died. And put this one back on live so people can see me putting it together because it just abruptly went off for the second time. Hey guys, guess who's back? My phone died, so but we have all 8 of our squares complete now. Whoop whoop! I hit my mark, guys. So this is for today's beanie, and I'm gonna start putting it together. So as I was just telling the rest of our folks, we're gonna put this together as like a quilt. So literally, we're just gonna stitch the seam. Okay. So for the beanie, it's 4 squares on each side. So some people choose to use a yarn needle right now. I'm much quicker using a hook to put it together. And I need to be quick for this because I want to make sure this is complete so you guys can see the finished product. So just going to put these together. And I am joining them together just by a slip stitch, which probably doesn't mean anything to anyone else, but it's like a hidden stitch in between. And you just want to go all the way to the end of this row, and you want to cut because this is now together, and you just leave that piece out loose. But I always like to go back and make sure that it's extra secure, and this is what happens if you did it correct. Your 2 pieces will be together. And so now, as I just stated, we need to have 4 on each side. So I'm gonna put this other 2 together. So we start with a slip knot, and then we do slip stitches across the perimeter on the border here, just to sew it together. And again, this is an option. You could use a yarn needle if you wanted to. I just prefer to use the hook because it's just easier for me. Or it's quicker, I should say. Maybe. So you're just more or less making a seam. Then when you get to the end, you just want to make sure it's tight because you don't want it to unravel. That'll be the worst thing that can happen. So I typically do a knot and an extra slip knot after just to make sure it's secure. So now you have another 2 together. And what you're going to do is put these 2 together so they can be 4 like this. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind is that there's like a seam that you can see. And so we want to keep that on the inside of our work. So again, the inseam, the part that's buckling over, you can probably see it that way better. You want to do that part like that. So just another slip knot. Oops. So slip knot, and then we want to slip stitch across the side so we can have four granny squares together. Okay. That almost went all bad. Lord. Don't want that to happen. So I'm just putting together the squares for the beanie. It should be done. And hopefully in the next 10 minutes, this will all be complete so you all can see the final product. And don't worry about the strings because we can cut those off after we're done putting it all together, because we secured them individually. So they are good to go. We can snip, snip. Okay. So now we're at the corner. So four squares are together. This is like the start of a blanket type too. So that's one side, and we want to put the other four together, and then we put those together, and then we have a beanie, and it's gonna be popping. Okay. Okay. Onto the next corner. Okay. So snip that. There we go. Yeah. Okay. See, try not to drop any stitches. Yeah, and get this done in T-5 minutes. Arn! What's up, Arn? Let's see. Okay. So we have these two put together, and so now we need to just put it with the set that we just completed a second ago. So tie these off. Okay. So yes, so another two, gonna add it to these two. And then we're gonna add all four of them together. Then it's gonna be on and popping. Okay, so real quick, just gonna add these two on here. Okay. Make sure this lines up proper. Okay. Mhm. Mhm. Let's put it here. Okay, now we have four on four going on. Okay. We are almost to the end. And boom, boom, and boom. Julie! Hey girl! How are you? How's MJ? Okay, that's one. And that's two. Okay, so now we're gonna put these two sides together, and then our beanie is gonna be complete once I show you the trick on how I close it. Oh, that's good. Yeah, we're good over here too. Well, especially me because I have not been out the house. I just started going in the backyard, which is terrible, but I had to go get some vitamin D in my skin and make sure that, I continue to keep the radiance of it, not just be in the house. So, oh, and I went to go walk across the Golden Gate Bridge. So I did go out of the house twice. One, I had to go to the bank because they would not let me open another business account from home. I had to go into the bank to do it. And two, I had to take my car out because my car was sitting for 3.5 months. And, I didn't want people talking about me because I let my car sit so long. So, especially my neighbors, because they go into the Nextdoor app and they're like, oh, yeah, latest news for today, someone, no one's pointing fingers, has not moved her car. And I'm like, oh, okay, gotcha. So I moved my car. I went and got service. I drove to San Francisco, walked across the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, I only walked halfway across. Let's just really be honest, because the temperature dropped. Although it was sunny everywhere else, the temperature dropped on the bridge and it started misting a little bit. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go back. But it was a good walk. And then last Friday, I went and got my hair done, hair braided. Hey. But I've been in the house crocheting, doing videos every Sunday. So people can order a beanie or make a contribution to my beautiful nonprofit, Believe in What You Dream. Donate at yarnmovement.com. Or no, sorry, donate.yarnmovement.com is the website. Yeah. And I've been making a whole bunch of swimwear because although we're supposed to be in the house social distancing, models are still doing shoots. So I'm still working. I make their swimwear, I send it to them, which I have some dope neighbors, by the way, because they're okay with me giving them mail, and the mailman really takes my packages too. So between that and Instacart, I don't have to go outside. Okay, so now we have 8 together. Isn't that beautiful? See? All right, and so just to finish this off, I'm actually going to close it out. So we have 4 and 4 on each side. You still have yarn for me? Oh yeah, I need to get that from you. I'll figure that out one day. You're the best. Check out this backdrop I did. Um, it was really with yarn scraps from all the projects I've been working on. And then I've been getting a bunch of orders from especially like photographers and like bloggers and I guess people who are just at home working at this point because they need a backdrop so they can cover. For me, I'm covering storage. Like it's a bunch of like bins of yarn behind there, those big giant 20-gallon containers, plastic containers full of yarn. So they just sit behind there and it's the hidden trick that if I'm looking for yarn, I just go back there and get it. But yeah, people have been ordering backdrops, so I've been busy and keeping myself busy so I don't get bored in the house. Bored in the house because I'm in the house bored. Not me. And I make TikTok videos. That is a great pastime. Um, they're really fun to make because sometimes it's just being silly and watching the video back. Even if no one else looks at the TikTok video, I love them so much that it just makes me laugh. Okay. You have TikTok? Make sure you follow me, Julie. It's just Yarn Movement. I'm Yarn Movement everywhere. And I make fun TikTok videos. They're teenager approved because, my niece is the one who put me on TikTok. We've been doing TikToks for 2 years before it was called TikTok. So I've had some training. I'm still, trying to master the art, but it happens. All right, so now we have 2 sides done, right? And it's just like this gaping hole, and you're like, oh, Ladybug, I thought you were making a beanie. And then I go, but don't you worry, because I'm going to show you this really cool trick. And we're actually going to use our yarn needle for this, you know, just so I can be fancy with it. Otherwise, I normally use my finger, but you know, since there's people watching, I won't do it that way. I'll do it the proper way. So I am just feeding the needle through um, every other stitch until we get back to the other side. Oh yeah, I'm definitely following you, Julie. Jills. Yep. It's on. I'm pretty sure I did a TikTok the other day in my backyard. I'm pretty sure my neighbors were laughing at me, but it's fine. I was doing the Carlton dance and I was wearing heels, and it's just like, really? Where are you going? You got all dressed to do a TikTok video? And I'm like, yeah, I really did. Okay. So now, ta-da, the big secret, right? So now we have it in every other one, and we're just going to pull. I'm just going to pull until it closes. If I were putting pom-poms at the top of the beanie, this is where I would put a pom-pom in, but this is enough color, doesn't need a pom-pom. Okay. Okay, and then you're just going to tie off, make a few knots. Me, I like to also tie the other sides just so it feels like it's super secure. And boom. And then I'm gonna cut all the strings off later, but this is today's beanie all done. So again, I see you all next Sunday, 4 p.m. sharp PST time. So I am in California. This is S. Ladybug checking out with Yarn Movement. If you're interested in a beanie, please be sure to click the link in the bio. I'll be sure to click back it again so you can get to the right site. If you're interested in making a contribution to Believe in What You Dream for a Dream Girl Kit, please visit donate.yarnmovement.com. But until then, I cheers to you all for another great sip and stitch. Cheers, cheers. And we are out.